at the
I'm
end.
going live. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are live today on the Family Search social media channels and Roots Tech channels. We're all over, and we're so excited for today's class with Dana Palmer. Hi, Dana. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
We're so lucky to have you. Dana has a robust background with everything that has to do with family history. And today we get to have her time, and she's going to be talking all about finding records using Family Search resources. Dana, we know that you're busy and you are in Ohio, right?
Yes, I'm just north of Cincinnati.
Okay. And Dana, I'm going to go ahead and just share a little bit more about you so that people can know exactly what you've done and why you're such a spectacular guest to have on today. And so to introduce her, and guys, I had to go through this like really long bio because Dana has done everything as far as family history is concerned and also volunteerism. And so I wanted to make sure that I got the tidbits that would be of interest to you because she is phenomenal. And this is so exciting to be with her today. So Dana, first and foremost, is a board certified genealogist, and her specialization, it has everything to do with helping people join historical lineage societies. We know that there are so many that exist and that are out there. And she also helps people research their family roots. And right now, her specialization is focused on the Midwest and in Ohio, which is where you are at right now, right, Dana?
Yes.
She's taught family history for nearly 3 decades. That's a long time. And she is a very popular speaker at major family history conferences, including Roots Tech by Family Search. And so she does all of that, and she finds time to still work with societies like the Mayflower Society. And as part of her work with them, she helps document descendants of passengers who came over on that very famous ship. She has published more than 50, get this, everyone, more than 50 family history books. And she has experience helping families discover their ancestors, and she has expertise for all of us today. And that's what's so exciting about what she has to share with us that's going to help many of us break through all of these frustrating family history roadblocks. And we know that there are a lot of them. I have them, and I feel like they're kind of like the black holes of that frustrate me, but that I'm still very optimistic that one day I will solve. I had the chance to talk to Dana before we went live, and in 30 seconds, she revealed so much about my German ancestors and history and like where to look. So today's class is all about finding resources on Family Search to find records that will help you overcome and resolve those roadblocks. Dana, before we get started, thank you again for your time. And I would just love to ask you so that everyone that's watching is well aware of why you even started this journey with family history. What got you into it?
So I actually got started when I was really little. As I told you before, my family grew up in the Phoenix area in Arizona, and my grandparents lived in Salt Lake. So at Christmas time, we would always drive up and go see them. And for years, we did that, and we'd have family reunions. And I remember going to my great grandmother's house, and they had this room, floor to ceiling, full of photographs on the walls. And I was a curious little kid, so I'd go sit on the bed and I'd look at the pictures on the walls, and they would tell me stories about my family. And that is ultimately what got me interested. And my grandmother's house, my mom's mom, the same thing. Up the stairs they had a wall with pictures, and I would go look at the pictures, and my grandma would come and tell me stories about my mom, about my aunts and uncles and my relatives. And so, really little, as a little child, I got started. So I just love it. I love learning about my family, and what a great heritage we have. So it's fun.
Thanks, Dana. Those sounds like very vivid memories. And I love that you're able to remember that like from the perspective of a child. And now you get to help others do that. That's spectacular. So Dana, let's talk about your class today. Tell us the gist of what it is and what the goal is with the hour that we have together.
Okay, so the main goal I have is to teach you how to use Family Search more effectively so you can find records, because there's records out there, and most of the time the reason you can't find them is because you don't know where to look, or you're not looking effectively. So I'm going to show you the major parts of the website so that you know how to use the website effectively and find your family.
That's awesome. Dana, thank you so much. And by the way, for those of you watching, this is one of our most popular classes because it helps everyone, no matter where you are in your family history journey. This is something that provides so much value, and it's a hit for Roots Tech by Family Search to every single year. So we're going to jump in. And before we jump in, I just want to invite you to drop in the comments where you're watching from. We want to know where you're watching from. And two, as we go along, Dana is going to be sharing all of this information with us. And please feel free to ask any questions that you have. We're very, we're observing all of the different channels that this is being distributed on. And we want to make sure that you can ask these questions live. And if we don't get to them in the live, we'll be sure to have Dana help us answer them after this is over. So keep those questions coming. Tell us where you're watching from. And let's get started. Dana, thank you again for your time.
Great. Okay, let me click present. My computer.
We just love technology.
Oh, do I have to do upload file then?
I don't think so. I think that you can just, hold on. If you press present, oh, there you go. If you press present,
Okay.
you can just share your screen.
Share screen. There you go.
Okay. Thanks everybody for your patience. And we're so excited again for finding records using Family Search resources with Dana, who's a fabulous family history expert with more than 3 decades of experience.
Okay. Can you see it?
Oh, here we go. Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right. Okay, great. All right, so again, I'm Dana Palmer. This lecture I call Finding Records Using the Resources on Family Search. I'm sure you are going to have questions as we go along. Just put them in the chat and we will try to get to them at the end. We have a lot I'm going to cover on the agenda here. Oops. First, we're going to cover a lot about finding the different records on the website. I'm going to show you some of my favorite tricks, and then I'm going to finish and we'll show you how to use the tree to be able to find records also. So let's start with records. So of course you are all familiar with the Family Search website. If you do not have an account, I highly recommend you create one. They're free, and the whole goal is to help you find your family. There's a lot of records and resources you can access if you have an account, where it's not as easy to get the records if you don't. We're going to start and focus mostly up here under the search tab. If you click the search tab, it has a drop-down menu, and there's a lot of areas where you can start looking for your family. I always start with records because this is where they have a lot of the indexed records. So once you get started, it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this, where you can search the historical records. Now, my favorite way to search is by browsing all collections down here at the bottom. I'm going to show you how to search in the box, but honestly, most of the time I don't search in the box because you get too many search results. But we're going to start here just so you can see the difference and see how to do searches on the different part of the websites. So we're going to start. This is my ancestor, Joseph Johnson. He was a Danish immigrant that came to America. His wife was Elizabeth Kirk. She's a little Scottish fireball. Kind of fun stories we have of the family. My goal was I was trying to find the ship passenger lists of all of my relatives. I wanted to track more about them and find out their stories. And so I wanted to find him in the passenger list. This is the tombstone I'm showing you because they have their dates on the tombstones. And this is a great way to get ideas of the time period someone was born and died. So when I go back and look at records, it helps me narrow down a little bit better. So I'm going to start by typing his name in the box. So I typed in Joseph Johnson, and I got over 4 million hits, which is way too many. You can add filters over here on the right, and that really will help narrow down. So in this case, I typed in Denmark 1857 to 1859, and I'm now down to 1600. So that's still a lot of search results to go through. Too many for me. You probably want to add in some more filters to narrow it down even further. One of the ways to do this is if you click under the record options, you can choose type, and this will let you narrow to a specific collection of records. So you can see they've got lots of choices here, and this is helpful, especially if you don't know exactly where they are in the records. Sometimes I will use this way to search because I don't know exactly where they are. In this case, we're looking for passenger lists, so we click on immigration and naturalization. And that brings me now to 106 search results. But when I did this, I could not find him. And sometimes that's going to happen. And so if you can't find them, you're going to need to look for additional clues. So I went back to the previous search where I had 1600, and you can see my ancestor here is in the 1900 census. I like the 1900 to 1930 census record, especially if I'm looking for immigrants, because it often will list the year they immigrated and if they became a citizen. So you can see over here, this column shows that he immigrated in 1865. Now, keep in mind, this is not always accurate, but it gives you a ballpark, and you can then use that to go search for more records. And if I need to, I can always go and look for his naturalization record, which should tell the date he came, the ship name that he came on, and other information. Now that I have a time period, I can narrow it a little bit further. So if I can't find them in the general search, my next step is to browse the collections. So instead of doing the box, I'm going to come down here to the bottom where it says Browse All Collections. This is going to give you a listing of categories. Now, the numbers over here on the top are always changing because they're adding to the collections and updating them all the time. But what I want to do is I want to come over here to the filters to the side. Now, if you're looking for a specific collection, you can type the title in the box. I think it's easier to browse by the location and the topic, though. It doesn't really matter. You can choose whichever one you want to do. I'm going to choose Migration and Naturalization. Then United States, because I'm looking for the passenger arrival list, and then the state that they came into. Now, my family stories say that they came into New York, so I'm going to focus there. If I don't find them in New York, then I might want to look for another location after that, after searching there. So here you can see I've now got 21 collections, and you can see the one I want is the one here at the bottom. This is the passenger list, and you can see it's a very large collection. It's got over 13 million people in it, and they updated it last summer. Anything that's got a camera icon means you can actually see the original image, and you want to watch because this is the list. Sometimes they're just indexes because they have indexes because they made those before everything went online, but you want the actual passenger list. When you get to the screen that has the yellow background, this is where you want to search for your people. So no matter what collection you're in, if you see the yellow background, this is where you can search for your person. You can type the names into the box here, or you can click more options. I generally choose more options because that lets me add more filters. So in this case, I typed in Johnson, and then I typed in birthplace as Denmark, 1857 to 1859, because I'm giving a range just in case the dates are wrong. And then this one has the immigration tab filter, so I'm going to add that in as a filter. Now, when I typed in his name, Joseph, he didn't come up, so I left his given name blank, hopefully to catch him. If not, if I give enough range, I might catch his siblings, which in this case, that's how I found him. I got 11 search results. None of them were for Joseph, but I did catch his sister Karen and his brother Carl. If you have an ancestor that comes from a country where English is not the native language there, especially if they're from a foreign language like Denmark, you need to look for them under their ethnic names. You can see here that their surname is not Johnson, it's Johansson. And that's because they would have been recorded under their ethnic name. And Carl is the nickname, is the Danish version of Charles. And so sometimes you can't find them because they're under their ethnic name. And in this case, it's not too different, but I've done some in other countries where it was significantly different. We're going to look at Carl's page here. You can see this takes to the transcription page. Up here, I've already attached them in the tree, but if I want to actually see the record, I click on the image over here, and that will take me to the page. And I've zoomed it in so you can see a little bit better. And you can see Carl, who's 9 years old, male. He's a son. His father is Johann, 48, and is a farmer. His wife is Anna, is 46. And then you can see Karen, his sister, and there is my Joseph, 5 years old, and then his brother Peter and Jacob. Now, why he didn't come up in the search engine took me a long time to figure out. I've discovered that sometimes if the second letter here is misindexed, which in this case is what happened, they put it as an R instead of an O. If that second letter gets misindexed, sometimes it doesn't come up if you put the full name in. Now, you could use wildcards, but I didn't know to make the second letter a wildcard. Now, if you do this, you might want to check that out. But by looking for his siblings, I was able to find my Joseph. And so you can try this trick when you're searching for your own family too. All right, another way to search is by browsing places. I like to do this if I'm doing international stuff because they have lots and lots of collections. If you click over here where it says browse places, this will show you a map of the world. You can click on the map, you can type in the search box up here at the top, or you can browse by the collections. I'm a visual learner, so I like to click, and so I clicked on continental Europe, and that then gives me a listing of the different records they have, the locations within continental Europe. I'm going to show you Germany because I've done some research there. And this takes you to the Germany page. Most of the pages up here are going to have a link to a wiki page if they have them. Sometimes you will luck out and they will have guided research. I did some in Czechia, or what was the Czech Republic, and I love their guided research. It's so helpful. And they've got them for other areas too, including some for the United States. All of these generally will have a learning center, which if you need help and you want to watch videos or get more instruction, you can go here, and these will take you to free webinars that you can watch. You can use the index collections here to search, or you can look at these collections here, which are exactly the same as the ones we would have seen if we looked under the browse all collections. If you scroll down, you can see sometimes they'll have genealogies. I kind of had a chuckle at this one because you can see it lists Norway even though we're in Germany. Sometimes they have other locations there. And if you scroll down, sometimes they'll have image only and catalog material. And they've got some gold mines here, so you definitely want to look at these. If I can't find them in historical records, the second place I like to go to is the catalog. The catalog is a little bit different than the images that I'm going to show you. This is where they have the old microfilms and microfiche. Back in the day, they would go and take digital microfilms, or they take microfilm images of the collections all over, and then they would have them on the fish or the film that people could see in Salt Lake City. And over the years, they have digitized these records. All of them, from my understanding, are digital now, but there's some of them that still are not available for viewing because of the partnering agreement that FamilySearch has with the participating donator. And I've used some of those records in person in Salt Lake City, but there's not many that aren't digitized. To get to the catalog, you go back to the search engine, search tab there, and you click on catalog, and it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this. Now, if you have not used this recently, they have changed it. This is what it currently looks like. It's a little bit different than how it used to be, but I love it. It's got a lot of great resources. Sometimes you have to, if you've got people in locations that where the boundaries have changed, you need to look at all of those variations of the names of where they could be. If you don't know where to look, go to the FamilySearch wiki page or go to Wikipedia, and that will give you some clues on variant names for your location. There's a lot of different ways you can search in the catalog. Most of the time I search by place. Sometimes I'll do keyword searches. I use the fish and film search all the time, and I'll show you some examples of that. We're going to start by location search or place search. If you're doing stuff in the United States, majority of the records here, you want to search under the county records. Sometimes they'll have state collections too. If you're doing New England, you want to look at not only the county, but the towns, because a lot of those New England areas are organized at the town level. And so keep that in mind when you're searching. If you're doing things internationally, most of those records, at least if you're looking for church records, are at your town or your parish level. So you need to know a little bit more to find those records. So in this case, I typed in Warren County, Ohio, because I wanted to show you what you're going to find. Now you can see when I type that in, it's going to give me a listing of categories. So don't expect to find your people's names as soon as you type that location in. You have to choose your category and then search for your person. Now, if I scroll down, you can see they've got lots and lots of records. One of my favorite records, especially doing Ohio research, is the tax records. I love these records. They're very useful. And you can see these are very early. So if I click on the duplicate tax records, it's going to take me to the page that describes the collection, where the originals are kept, and so forth. You can see here, it does have a link back to the historical records, but I know for a fact that not all the counties are included in that index. But if you go to the page for them, you can actually search. And if I scroll down, you can see a listing of all the microfilms and the digital collections. If you find something that's got this magnifying glass, I'm going to show you a trick for it. You can use that to search that specific microfilm or digital image. If it's got a camera icon, that means it actually has the image and you can view this. Now, if you haven't seen this little icon, the third one over here that looks like a paper with a little plus above it, this is brand new. They've added in the last couple weeks. This is a link to the full text search. And if you click on that, it'll fill in the DGS number or the image group number into full text. And then you can type a surname in and search for your person. It's super, super fast. It's really good, especially when they don't have the magnifying glasses. I'm going to show you a trick though to search with the magnifying glasses because it's helpful. This will take you to that specific collection. So you can just see for that one microfilm, they have indexed 22,000 names. I'm going to type my surname in, and you can use the full surname, you can use wildcards, whatever you want to search. So I typed in the surname Bunnell. I did not choose the box here because I want to keep it what I call fuzzy. So it allows it to search for names even if they're misspelled. And you can see I got 46 search results. You can further narrow if you want by adding in the given name. And again, you can use the full name or wildcards. So I did A with the asterisk, and that looked for all the variations of that, which you can see it had Anne and Anna. Not common that you get females, but in this case, the husband had died, and so she was the main person listed. And you can see the variations on how the name was spelled. If you want to see the record, click on her name, and that will take you to the transcription page. If this is the person, make sure to attach it to the tree. To see the record, you can click here, and that takes you to the page. Now you can attach it to the tree here also if you didn't go to the transcription page. Zooming in a little bit, you can see here, here's Anna Bunnell. Now, why do I love these records? Because these tax records actually tell you the exact location where she's living. And if I use these in conjunction with the deed records, I really can track my people well. It's really, really helpful for finding people, especially pre-1840. You can do other locations. So you can see I've typed in Fayette, Pennsylvania. Just to show you another example, here's land and property. Again, I use deeds and probates or deeds and mortgages and other records all the time. Very, very useful, especially if you're trying to find your family. I found evidence of kinship in those records. But I'm going to show you one of my favorites. Pennsylvania's got some really great records. They have this collection called Surveys and Warrants. And if you've never used these before, what they did is when they surveyed the land, they often would draw maps to show the physical boundaries. And if it makes those deeds make more sense. So if you scroll down, you can see that this is the list they have for Fayette County. And you can see they've got several different surveys. If you see over here to the right where there is an icon with this warning symbol, that means the collection is locked. And in order to view that, you have to go to a Family Search Center or a Family Search affiliate. If you are local and your society is not an affiliate, I highly recommend you encourage them to join. It's super easy to do. They just have to have one designated computer, and then you can access these records closer to where you live. It's well worth becoming an affiliate. I'm grateful they have some here by me because it makes it easier for me to view these records. This is the one that I looked at, and so what I did is I just took my thumb drive and I went down to my local affiliate, and I was able to view these records. If I try to do this at home, you're going to get a screen that looks like this, telling you have to go to an affiliate. Now, once I'm at an affiliate, this is what it looks like, and you can see I have gone through and looked for the family I was searching for. Now, I've color coded it using software so that you can see where the person I was searching for. You can see Catherine Swearingen or Swearingham is how they listed her here. This shows the property. And I love this because it really, if you use this with those deeds, it really helps you understand what the boundaries are that she has. She was actually in here twice. This is the second half of her property. And you can see her son owns the land that's right below hers. But it really shows who the neighbors are and what the boundaries are. So and there are other places besides Pennsylvania that have these assurance and surveys and warrants. So look for these if you've never used them before. They're wonderful records. You can also do searches in other countries. So this is Darmstadt in Germany. I'm going to choose the main page there, and you can see it gives me a listing of categories just like I have in the United States. So you can do this for other locations too. Now, if you are doing stuff international, most of the time, especially for Germany, if you're doing stuff pre-1875, you need to look at the church records because their vitals, their births, marriage, deaths, or baptisms, marriages, burials are in the church records. The later records are going to be under civil registration. So you kind of have to understand where they're organized to find them. And if I click church records here, you can see they've got a lot of different church books for the different locations. And then you'd have to pick the one you want, and then you can go look at the record. Now, if you are in another country, again, where you can see these are German, a lot of these are going to be in German or Latin or wherever you are. So if you're in other countries, you might have the limitation of having to know the language or having the resources. And I'm going to show you where you can get some of those a little bit later. If you search the records and you can't find what you're looking for, one of the tricks I like to do, and this will work for anywhere, not just in Germany here, but you can click the part of, and this is going to take me up a level. So this will take me from Darmstadt up to the state of Hesse. And this is then going to show me collections they have there. And you can see they have additional collections that are different than what's at Darmstadt. Now, if I want to see places within Hesse, I can click here, and this is going to show me more sublocations. And so if I want to choose another one, I can choose another location. So in this case, I chose Oppenheim. And then you can see here, it just had one category. But if I choose places within Oppenheim, it then showed me all the towns within that location. So sometimes if I want to figure out what's close to where I'm working, I will go do this because then I can find other parishes, or in this case, with other record collections. And then I can usually find my people. And if you use this in conjunction with like Google Maps or some of the map series out there, it's really, really helpful. All right, one of my favorite things, if you've never used full text search, after this is done, go play. This is one of my favorite things. I use it all the time. This is part of the experimental. I hope they make this part of the mainstream family search. It's really, really useful. And basically what it is they're using AI and optical character recognition, handwriting, the artificial intelligence to read what's in these records, reading the handwriting, and it's gotten so much better, even from when it's just started. And you can type your people's names in the box here and search for them. Why is this useful? Well, because a lot of times if we're using indexes, it only names the main people there, but there's a lot of other people on these records. So there's a lot of different ways to search for this. You can use an exact search with quotations. I'm not going to show you all the different ways because we seriously could spend an hour just on how to use full text search, but you can do it in keywords. You can do it under names. You can use combinations of keywords and names. You can do it without quotes. I will warn you, if you put the place name over here in the box on the filter on the right, the only results you're going to see, they have to have that location on the page or it won't show. A way to get around that is if you click the place filters or these other filters here at the top, you can narrow the records up here without necessarily having it. And that's helpful because if the name or the location is misspelled, you can still catch them. Anywhere where these appear, you can see they show in yellow. So I'm going to click this one so you can see here. This is for Edward White, and I zoomed it out so you could see the whole page at a view. And I zoomed it in just a little bit. I know it's a little blurry, but I wanted you to see the whole page. And you can see he appeared on a lot of the different pages here. And you can see sometimes like this one here where it said Sanyan, they couldn't read the word senior. You can see the AI is still having a little trouble with some of the words, but it gives me a transcription over here, and most of the words are right. But if you can't find your person, purposely misspell the names and see if they come up, because you don't know how it's indexed it. And you need to think, what I always say is think like a 6-year-old. Think of how you could misspell the names to catch them. And a lot of times if you do that, you will find them. Now, here's an example here. Again, this is where Edward White is appearing in Thomas Cadden's estate papers. And you can see here, Susanna Cadden here is the administrator for Thomas Cadden. And you can see over here, they indexed his name as Kane instead of Caton. And so It happens. And just like I said, be aware of this limitation. And so when you're searching, be very open-minded in how you spell words and keywords and names. And if you do that, you should be able to find your people. Think of how they might um, mistake letters by how it's written. But in this case, I mean, I never would have thought to look for Edward White in his estate papers. But if I'm trying to narrow down, this is helpful. This is 1796. If I'm trying to limit and figure out when he died, and I know he's alive here, this can help me. So this is a wonderful resource. And if you've not used that, definitely take advantage of that. Not only that, but make sure you save the record up here because you can attach it to your source box or to the tree. All right, if I can't find them in records, I can't find them in the catalog. The third place I'm going to go to is the images. Images is here. This is a little bit different than catalog because it's nowadays when FamilySearch goes out, they don't take microfilms. They take digital images, and these are wonderful. The resolution is top notch. These are really great records. The Right now, it's only searchable by location if you search in the box. It's not showing here, but they do have some other helpful tools down here if you want to browse the collections instead of just typing the searches, the location up here in the box. If you, I'd recommend you do that. It's very helpful. I'm not going to show you here because we just have the hour, but that's something I use a lot too. I generally type my location up here. So I'm going to type in New York. Then you can see it gives me lots of different areas I can search. Now, I had no idea they had a New York in Texas, but apparently there's a town that's called, or a village that's called New York. I thought that was kind of fun. Generally, I'm just going to search the main location and then filter and narrow down. So you can see when I typed in New York, I got over 151,000 collections. And that's of when I screen captured this. I'm sure they have more since then. But these are collections, and each collection has got images. And sometimes images, you have multiple names. So you're talking millions and millions of people's names in these records. Now, that's a lot of records to go through. So I often am going to narrow it. So over here to the side, I'm going to narrow. I'm going to choose the county. So in this case, I'm going to choose Cayuga County. Then if I want to, I can type a date in, and often I will. Most of the time I choose life event because that's going to let me narrow even further. So I choose migration if I'm looking for citizenship papers or things like that. And then it lets me choose what specifically I'm wanting. If I don't want something, I can uncheck the box and then it'll narrow it even further. So you can see now I went from 151,000 collections to 72. I can then choose what I'm looking for. So here you can see this one's 1927 to 1928 petitions for naturalization. A lot of these are going to have indexes at the front of their book. So if they do, find your people's names in the index first because it tells you exactly where to go in the record, and then you can find it more quickly. So here's an example of what you might see. So here, this is somebody from Poland. And I love these because they tell the name, the town where they come from in Galatia. If I had no idea, I now know. And these are wonderful records. And so if you're trying to find your place of origin, your declaration of intent, which you can get on FamilySearch for free, is one of the records and places I would go and look. If I can't find them in records, I can't find them in catalog, and I can't find them images, the fourth place I go is the research wiki. This is kind of my go-to if I don't really know where to go to look for stuff, or I want to find online records that are not necessarily on FamilySearch. This will help you tremendously. So click down here under the search tab, the research wiki. And then from here, you can type in locations as well as topics. Over here to the side, they've got this jumpstart your research. I told you before about the guided research on the one page when you do the search. This is where you find them. So you can click guided research, and then it will show you more specifically about the locations, and it will guide you through how to get started in that location. I'm just going to show you most of the time I just type my location in the box. So I typed in Indiana. I'm then going to choose the main Indiana landing page. This will take me here. Bookmark it because you're going to come back a lot. This is if you need help getting started, you can click the red button. A lot of times they're going to have beginner stuff over here to the side. If you need online help, you can click here, and they have people that are willing to help you. Their whole goal is to help you find your family. My favorite is the blue button. So if you click the Indiana Online genealogy records, this will take you to this page. And you can see here they've got different categories of record collections, and they have lots of them. This is just a few of them. I'm just showing you a small snip of the page. If you see a dollar sign, that is going to take you to a subscription-based website. Most of the time, it's American Ancestors, Find My Past, Ancestry, or one of those, My Heritage, one of the big websites out there. And they have really good collections. And this is helpful because sometimes I wouldn't know to go look at these other records in these other locations, because Family Search is a tool to help you find records, but there are more records out there, and this will help you find them. In addition, you can see over here under the land records, they've got a link to the full text search. And so if you didn't know where to look for full text search, this is another place you can click to get there. If you go back to the main Indiana page, you can scroll down. This takes you to the map. Over here to the far right, they've got record types. So if you are looking for adoptions, specific for people who were born in Indiana that were adopted, this has a page to teach you how to go do adoption research in that state, and it will walk you through how to do that. And you can see they've got lots and lots of different categories here for whatever you're searching for. Scroll down, they've got a list of categories. You can click on the map or you can click on these counties, and they will take you to a page with more information. If you're trying to find the migration routes in and out of Indiana, they've got links to those down here at the bottom too. So they've got lots of resources that are useful. I'm going to show you Tippecanoe County. This is where we lived for a couple years. So I've done lots and lots of research here. They've got a very good page for them. You can see, and other counties are going to be just like this. They vary a little bit by content based on the location, but it's very, very standard how it's organized. Most of them will have links to your courthouse or health departments, and you can see they've got the contact information as well as the link to their websites. Over here to the far right, they tell you when the county started. So you can see this county started in 1826. If I'm looking for records before 1826, then down here it tells me the parent county. So I need to look at either Park County or it was unorganized territory. And so it kind of helps you figure out, especially if you're in an area where you've got boundaries that are changing over time, this is really, really useful. And you can see, look at all the different categories they have for record collections. Again, their intent is to help you be successful. Scrolling down, this is probably one of my favorite areas of the page. Up here, it tells me who has the different types of records. But not only that, but they've got this little box here that tells me when they started keeping records. So I know if I'm looking for death records in Tippecanoe County, if it's before 1882, they don't exist. The government didn't start keeping them until 1882. And I know for a fact that they were kind of spotty for a couple years before they were very consistent. And so that gives me a clue to go look for alternates, look for church records, look for newspaper clippings. There's a lot of other records that you can look for as substitutes. If you have record loss, they've got a category down here that tells you if they've had disasters and they have record loss in the county. If you're in an area where there's a lot of boundary changes, they've got links to maps that can help you figure out what the boundaries are for the time that you're looking in them. If you scroll down, they then have different categories, and these are just a few of them that I've snipped so you can see them. You can see the one at the top are court records. They've got links to lots of court records. Most of these are Family Search. Family Search has got really, really good court records for a lot of locations. And again, if it's got a dollar sign, like this one on Ancestry under probates, it means it's taking you to a subscription site. You'd have to have that subscription to be able to use their collection. Here's the vital records. You can see, again, they've got lots of really good records here. And this is, you're going to be able to do this for whatever your location is. You can do it for other countries. Again, I'm going to show you Germany because I'm the most familiar with that one. Go to the main Germany page, landing page, and you can see the setup is the same as Indiana. The layout is identical. It's just uniquely formatted for this location. And again, they've got the beginning stuff over here. They've got stuff over here. Lots and lots of great resources that you can use. If you scroll down, you can see they've got the maps. This shows the current states in Germany as well as links to the different locations. They've got the record types if you're looking for those. And then over here, not only do they have record types, but they've got my favorites, which if you need handwriting help or you need help because you cannot read the language, they've got word lists. And this is just Germany. You can do this for any country. You can see they've got the link to the French, the German, and the Latin, which you use most often, although I've also used others. In addition, they've got handwriting help, which if you're doing anything in continental Europe, you want to go to these pages because most of them use the German Gothic. They've also got language helps as well as links to archives and libraries. It's just jam-packed of stuff that's going to help you find your family and be able to read the records. Very, very useful. And it's all free, which I love. I like free. This is showing you if you can also just on the Family Search Wiki page, you can do a keyword search for genealogical word lists. And these are the lists that they currently have on the Wiki page. And you can see, look at how many they have. They've got lots of them. And so anything you can probably think of, they probably, that you need help with, they have on these lists here. Another resource on Family Search are the books. And that's the category here. Family Search has partnered with many, many libraries across the country. And I know it says up here it's over 500,000 books. I think it's actually, the review I read said it's closer to, I think, 6,500 or 650,000 books and histories and yearbooks and things they've now digitized. They have massive amounts of information from different, the major repositories out there that they're digitizing. So if you need a county atlas or you need a county history or whatever, you can search. You want to search for the book for you about your ancestors, type your surname in here and see what comes up. I like to search by location also. So you can see here, I've got the Sampsons of Plimpton. I typed in the town of Plimpton in the search box and it gave me over 10,000 hits. Now, definitely they're not all for what I want, but you can find some good collections here. If I scroll down, you can see here's the history of Plimpton, Massachusetts. So they've got history books. The one I was after was this one. This one is called Vital Records of Plimpton. If you've done stuff in New England, they have what's called the tan books, which these are books that were published that had tan covers. And these are basically indexes, sometimes abstracts of what's in the original records. Even though they're not the originals, they're still immensely useful. So if I click on the image, you can go to the page. And so you can see here, up here, they've got this little magnifying glass. So if I click on that magnifying glass, I can type my surname in, and then it takes me directly to the page for whatever I'm searching for. And you can see here's one of the pages in here. And you can see it's got the surname, and then it's an alphabetical listing. This one is for the births of Plimpton. Now, even though this is an original, if I can find my people's names in here, I can then go back to the originals, which are on Family Search in the catalog. I know because I've used them, and you can find the originals. And it helps you be able to find your people more quickly because you know they're there. And so these can be very a time saver. You can see if they're in the town, and if not, you can go to the next town until you find them, and then you can go back and find your originals. All right, let's go through some of my favorite search tricks. The first one is wildcards. I use wildcards all the time. There's two wildcards you need to be familiar with. The first is the question mark. The question mark will replace a single letter. So like if you have the word, a name, Elizabeth, like my daughter's name's Elizabeth. Sometimes it's spelled with a Z, sometimes people spell it with an S. If you use the question mark, that will replace that letter, and then it will look for any letter that's there. As I said, sometimes if that second letter is misindexed, it won't come up. You can use the question mark to replace the second letter, like over here, the T question mark R asterisk, and it will search for the letter variations. Very, very, very powerful way to search. The other wild card is the asterisk here. And this one will let you search for multiple letters. And you can use it at the end of your word as well as in the middle of your word. You just have to have a single letter before the asterisk here, and then you can use it. And you can use a combination. So in this one, I was looking for the name Torok, and you can see I did T question mark R and the asterisk here. This one was for Johnson, my ancestor. This searches for Johnson, Johansson, with Ians, with Owens, with A, any variation you can think of, it searched for the name. So it's very helpful because I was able to find them by using the wildcards. All right, let me show you an example. So we're going to click the search tab and we're going to browse collections because this is the way I like to search. I will tell you if you're looking for census records, sometimes I will just type the census in the collection title here because it will come up faster. I'm going to show you the long way though, so you know how to do it. Click here where it says census, United States, and then United States. And then this is going to show you the collections of all the whatever they have categorized under United States. And you can see here's all the census records because that's what I've chosen. I'm going to choose the 1860 census. Again, yellow background. Yellow background, I can search for my people. Choose more options, and then I'm going to search. In this case, I was looking for, a person named Sophia Schnee. But for whatever reason, I could not find her with her family. I knew who they were because I tracked them in the records before and after, but I could not find her in the census. I know they were living in Cincinnati. If you're doing census research, make sure under the residence you put either, if you know it's Cincinnati in this case, I put Cincinnati, or I could type in Hamilton County, Ohio, if they were in one of the townships. But if you add that residence, it will help narrow it down a lot better than if you just use the any tab. Well, I got 301 hits, which is a lot to go through. So I'm going to add a filter, and I'm going to add in filters for her birth as well as keep the residence filter. So you can see Ohio, 1857 to 1859, and now I'm down to 24 search results. Now, the surname Schnee still did not commit, but this one was in Cincinnati, and her age matched, and it starts with an S and kind of has it ends with the E. So it's a possibility that this is her. So I went and looked, and you can't really tell without looking at the record. And you can see this was her, so I attached her. If you look at, here's the original page, and I've zoomed it in so you can see it better. And you can see this, they didn't misindex this. This is actually looks like Solme, Solme, or it's a very, very sloppy Schnee. And you can see that he's a watchmaker. This is Joseph, the father. The mother, there's John, there's Rose, there's Washington, and there is my Sophia. And the names of the other kids, everyone in the household match what's on the other census. So I know this is them, even though the name is misindexed or misspelled. But I wouldn't have found them had I not been using wildcards. Now, one of the tricks you can do is up here at the top where this arrow is, if you click that arrow, this will show you other people that are on the page. And so if I did that, I can then scroll down and you can see there's other people, and you can see I've attached it to the people in the tree. So if I hadn't attached it, I could click this arrow and then it would bring Rose's name up, and then I could click the button that's here, which you can see I've already attached. But you could click the button here and then I can attach Rose to her entry in the tree. I really recommend, if you have the opportunity, to make sure you attach these because it makes it easier to find them, especially like this one where they were misindexed, misspelled in the record. All right, other family members. One of the tricks you can do is looking for other family members. So this is a record from, I use this one a lot. It's the German Lutheran baptisms. And I just typed in the name Benfeld to see what would come up. And I lucked out, even though there's over 81,000 entries when I searched this, the one I wanted was the third one from the top, in the location of Visselhovedy. And you can see here's his transcription page. Down here at the bottom, if you click document information, it'll has a drop down and it will show you the original microfilm it comes from or the digital collection. And if I actually click that microfilm, you can then go and search. So again, for this single microfilm, they've indexed 41,000 people. Over here under surname, I can type the surname in, and then it shows me all the Benfelds on that microfilm. Now, why is this useful? Well, because then I go through these and I piece together the families. So when I go back and look at the original records, if the image isn't attached, this way I can find them. Sometimes, especially when they're in other languages and other script, it's very, very easy to miss the entries, and this way I won't miss anybody. You can see I'm not a 65 here. You can do the same kind of trick if it's an index-only collection. You can see here, if I search for the German collections, there's a collection here called the Germany Deaths and Burials, and there's no camera icon on this one. But I can still search. These are still wonderful records. It's got over 3 million people in here. and I can search for my person. So in this case, I was looking for the name Stige, and they had it indexed as Stige. This is the one I wanted. Um, Here's his page here, and you can see down here it doesn't have it linked to the image. And sometimes the collections are like that because of the agreement FamilySearch has with the participating organization. But that doesn't mean that the image isn't here on FamilySearch. Sometimes you just have to know where to look. And if it doesn't come up here, come down here to the bottom. Now, this one I lucked out because it told me he was on page 222, entry number 39. And there's the microfilm number. Go back to the catalog. Click on the fish, film, and image group number search. And you can either type in the microfilm number or the digital image. Either will work. And I type it into the box, and it then takes me directly to that collection. So you can see these are the church books for that location. I can click on church book, and it describes where the originals are kept. And if I scroll down, you can see this then shows me the collections they have. Now you can see this one is not yet, as of when I screen captured this was not yet in full text search, but they've got the magnifying glass, which if I use the magnifying glass, it's going to do the same thing as if I clicked on the microfilm number back in the other screen. But what I'm after is the image, the originals. There's my microfilm number. And you can see these are baptisms, marriages, and burials. So all I need to do is click on the camera icon, and then I can go look at the record. And here is his entry. He's on image 363, and you can see up here at the top, it's page 222, and he was entry 39. And you can see this is definitely him. Here's Johann Heinrich Wilhelm Stige, and it is Stege, not I. But for whatever reason, it's easy on some of these handwritings. Sometimes they're hard to read, especially when they've got splotches all over the pages, because of the pages being old. And you can see this is my person. Again, if you cannot read these, and I'm sure a lot of you probably can't, go to the FamilySearch Wiki page for whatever country you're doing research. In this case, I would go to the German handwriting page and go and use the tools to help me be able to read the script. They've got free resources and tools, and their whole intent is to help you be successful. And they've got lots and lots of free tools. All right. The last thing we're going to cover is the family tree. Family tree is under the tab here. And you can click on the tree tab. And if you're logged in, you can see a lot of other features on here that are not showing. You must have an account and be logged in to be able to view the tree. Now, since we're dealing with, when I click on tree, my name's going to come up with my husband and my kids and my family. But since I'm living and a lot of my relatives are living, I have chosen one of my ancestors in the tree to show you an example of how to use this. And so you can see here, this is my ancestor, who's James Powell, who served in the War of 1812. So if you click on him, and you can see, if I click on him over here to the side, it's going to have a menu that drops down. Now, if I want to go and make changes or see more details, you need to go to what's called the details page. This is the tree page, the pedigree page. And you can't really make a lot of changes on this page. You need to be in the details page. Click on person, or you can click on his name. Either place will take you to his original page. This is his details page. I always follow my ancestors. So they used to call it watch, but they now call it follow. So all of my ancestors that are deceased up to my second great grandparents, I have followings on all of them. Plus, if I have specific lines where I'm doing specific research, like that are further back, I also have follows on them, because that way, if anyone's making changes, I know exactly who's making changes and what they're doing. Because some lines I've done so much research, I have way more than what even I've added online yet, because I'm in the process of adding everything to the memories. Every person is given a unique ID. I also generally will print out a pedigree chart, and I'll write down their codes there. So if I want to navigate quickly, I can do that too. If you click on sources, This will show you the records that are attached to that person. And you can see I found a biographical sketch for several of them for him. I've got the 1810 census linked. I've got some military records. This one I think is from Ancestry. And if you scroll down, I've got other records that are attached to him. And you might find this for your ancestors too. You might find records attached to your ancestors. Not only that, but if you go to memories, sometimes you'll have family members that attach records here too. And you can see there's pictures as well as documents. So this one, I was so excited. Someone attached this picture. I've never seen this one, and I think this is him when he's younger. But we've got his War of 1812 records. We've got his estate papers. We've got pictures of tombstones I took when we went out to go see him. We've got a transcription of his will. There's lots and lots of stuff that you can add to your relatives. This is a great way to preserve your history, your stories, your photos. You can add audio clips. You can add, if you want to interview relatives, if you have relatives living, you can do that. There's a lot of different features that you can do for living relatives as well as your deceased. And, preserve these, share these while you can. Now, let me show you another example of how you could edit the tree. So this is most of the time when you come to your relatives, it's going to look something like this, where there's not a lot here. If people attach records, it doesn't automatically update what's in the tree if it already has a fact. So you can see here, the death record, it's got 1941, but it doesn't have anything else. If you click the pencil, this will show you if records are attached, and you can see there were 2 records attached. One comes from the Veterans Administration and one is from Find a Grave, but it did not automatically update the date because the date was already there, and so you'd have to go physically update this yourself. Once you attach it, if there's a record there, you have to update it. Sometimes when you're researching, the records will show over here in hints in the research help, but they don't always. Check the sources first. What I like to do is I like to choose options and then I customize. I always put the records for that person at the top. Anywhere where they're in someone else's record, like if they're the parents of their kids' record, I put those at the bottom. That way, at a glance, I know what records I have for them. Now, just looking at this, you can see there's no 1860 census, there's no 1910 census, there's no 1900 census, and there's no death record. I want to go get his death record if I can. So I'm going to go back to his details page. And you can see I filled in as much information here as I can, because a lot of times if I start adding content to the tree, the hints will pop up. Or if I add a record, a new hint will pop up. So add as much content to your person, their spouse, and their kids as you can, because often it will give you more hints. If it doesn't come up as a hint, you can search directly, like I showed you already, going up to the search tab, or you can click down here. And this is one of the best kept secrets that they have, is if you are in the tree and you click on one of these databases down here, I'm going to show you Ancestries. It takes the information from the tree and it fills it into Ancestry, and then it finds you records. There's his death record. All I did was click the button, and now within seconds, I've got his death certificate. So here's his death record. You can see everything matches. And this is his original death record. Now, I want to make sure if this record is not on FamilySearch, I want to link it. Go back to the tree and click on Sources. Click on Add Source. If it's from FamilySearch, you need to attach it from the record. But if it's from another website, click Add Source and then click Add New Source. This will then let you add your source in, and it will come up blank like this here on the left, and you're going to fill it in. So I gave it the date, I said it was his death record, and I pasted in the link to where I found it. Now at the bottom, they do have tags. Make sure you tag his death, his burial, and his birth if they're in the other record or whatever record you're looking at. Add the tags, because then it will help other people see, yes, you did get this from a reputable source. Once you add it, it's going to keep it here. It'll come to the top of the screen. So you can see here his death record shows at the top. And again, as long as you choose options and you've customized, you can click this icon and drag it to wherever you want it. So that's what I did. I've dragged it down to the bottom, and I have it sorted and organized in order. So you can see now I've got his death record down here right before his burial. And I've got it sorted and organized, which is useful. Then other people can find the record because maybe someone else didn't know where to look for it. So if you add it in, it makes it easier for everybody. All right, let's do a quick summary, then we'll take some questions. My biggest tip is keep at it. Sometimes those family members sometimes they're just tough. Be persistent. Browse collections. That's the biggest trick. Browse to the collections, choose the database you want, search for your records. If you can't find it under the historical records, then go to the catalog and images and make sure you use full text search. More of the collections on full text search are being added every day. You can, in full text search, add the microfilm numbers. There's a category for, actually, you have to add the DGS number. You can add that in and then type your surname in into the box there. But more are coming online all the time. So if you've searched and they're not coming up, give it a month and then search again because maybe your collection just wasn't in there at that time. And then use the research wiki. It can help you find online collections. It can help you find collections that are not online, that are only found in local repositories, because not everything is online. And it's got helps. It's got handwriting helps. It's got other research things that can help you be successful to find your family. I'm going to take some questions. If you think of a question and I don't get it answered today, you are more than welcome to send me an email. My email is dana@treasuredlineage.com. I'll usually respond within a day or so. If it's the weekend, I might not get back to you till Monday. But I wish you success, and I'm hopefully can answer your questions, and wish you the best.
Dana, thank you so much for such a wonderful lesson. I have learned so much, and I am blown away by just how many resources are available on Family Search and how it is that, like, you're able to break it down so simply. I just have a question for you before we jump into the audience's questions. We will give them a couple more seconds to add them. We do have a few, and we have people watching from Italy. We have people joining us from Colombia, all over the world. One of the questions that I have for you is, I mean, all that you showed us reflects a lot of your own family research. I'm sure that people are like, "Oh my gosh, like that's amazing that Dana was able to find that." That took a lot of time, right? I mean, it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of just like you said, keeping at it.
And actually, when you're searching, I've done this the olds because I've been doing this a long time. I
Uh-huh.
did, like, I mean, even for like census research, I've done the traditional where you used the old style, where it's on the microfilms or the old original stuff. I've been able to find stuff in minutes that took me years to do before. It's
Wow.
so fast, especially if you use full text search. Full text search is very powerful. And you can find a lot of really good records there in minutes. I was working on one the other day, and I found the person I was searching for in a military pension file for someone else. And it had everything I needed. I never would have known to look there. And I've been able to break through the brick walls so much better. So, there's yes, I showed you a lot of examples for my family, but it's applicable to anybody. Just keep at it. Do the tricks I showed you, that they work. And if you can't find it one, you go to the next and you keep at it until you keep searching for them. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. And it doesn't matter what country you're doing, these tricks work for any location.
Dana, thank you so much, and that gives me hope because every time I jump into resources that Family Search has to offer, you gave such great tips on how to approach each of those in a better way. I really appreciated the wild card tip, and that was actually one of our questions. So, how do you do a wild card? You talked about the asterisk and also the question mark. Can you just remind us how to do that?
Yeah. So if you're using wildcards, you need one letter and then you can use a wild card. So you have to have a single letter and then you can put a question mark. And then if you want to add other letters, you can. Or one letter and then the asterisk. And then you don't have to put anything else, but you can. So that's it.
And that's great because one of the things that really stood out to me is you said, remember to think like a 6-year-old.
Yep. Think
So
like a
you have
6-year-old.
names that are spelled in different ways and there's the ethnic way of spelling a last name or a name in general, and then there's the way that it's spelled once they arrive to a new location. So helpful.
Well, and
Ano
not only that too, but I mean, some locations, like I've done some stuff for Virginia people that came to Ohio, and sometimes they pronounce things. I'm like, I just kind of like, what? Like, oh, how did you get that? And so,
Yeah.
and not only that, but sometimes in your locations where your people aren't literate, but the priests and the pastors and the government people are, and so they record it how they hear it. And I've had some,
Mm.
like I've done some in Czechia and Hungary, where the person recording it spelled it one way, but the person signed it completely different,
Wow.
than how they spelled it. I'm like, I never would have guessed that, and I didn't know, and it wasn't indexed how they signed it. It was indexed how the government person did it. So you really have to be creative, but the wild cards can be helpful, and you can use them in combination. So both as surnames and as given names. I will tell you, if you're doing it in full
Mm.
text search, there's a thing where it's an exact search with quotes. You cannot use wildcards in quotes.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Otherwise, you can use it.
Thank you so much. And I love that you can use them with each other, like the question mark and the
Mhm.
asterisk. That's awesome. And then speaking of different, like, factors that do, increase the difficulty of finding information, one person, Corinne, is asking, "What if I can't read the fancy script?" And you did mention a couple of ways that we could approach that. Can you just remind us again, if we can't read fancy script or handwriting in records, where do we go?
Right. So if you need script help, the best thing to do is to go to the Family Search Wiki, for whatever country you're doing. Most of them have a tab for handwriting, and they will help you with handwriting. However, I didn't show this, but in the upper right corner, there is a question mark. And if you click on the question mark, there's a tab that's called Community.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you go to Community, there's a thing that's called Groups. And if you go to the groups, like I've done the one for Germany and as well as other countries, they have groups that you can join. And a lot of these, once you've joined the group, you can post either a link to the image or your document to that page, and they will have people that will transcribe it for you for free.
Mhm.
That is the best place to go to get help. But if you want to do it yourself, go to the Family Search Wiki for whatever country you're dealing with, and they have free language helps under
You
handwriting.
know, thanks for reminding us about that. What one of the things that I really appreciate about the Family Search community is just how loyal and how willing and passionate people are to help one another. And so that's such a great point. The Family Search community, that's where people that are watching and people that are avid family history fans, and whether you're a newbie or someone that's been in the industry like you have, Dana, for 30 plus years, that's where people go to receive extra help. I've actually been helped myself with some German handwriting that I was like, this isn't German, first of all. And two, I can't even understand one letter from another. And guys, I just want to give my 5-star review of of the Family Search community groups. I was helped probably within like 8 hours. Someone had it all transcribed, not just in German, but they had it also translated to
Mhm.
English for me. And so I was like, how do I pay this forward? Because people are just so willing to help, and I feel like I need to help them too.
Yeah, and sometimes one person will give the response, and if they don't have everything, somebody else will come back and add the rest. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're so helpful, and if you want to pay it forward, just help somebody else wherever you are with whatever skill set that you have. Encourage them, or better yet, go interview your family members and document your own stories. Preserve what you can, because you
Mhm.
might not think that you're anything important, but you are, and your descendants and your relatives want to know about you just as much as you want to know about your family. And so, preserve your own history. That would be a blessing in itself.
That's such a beautiful reminder. I think that sometimes we're like, "Oh, social media, we're uploading photos," and yet family history is social media. I mean, in the sense that we're uploading photos of memories and things that are happening in our life. And Dana, that's such a great reminder. Here at Family Search, we talk about the importance of adding what you know. And so maybe you don't know something from the past, but you can be a family history advocate for your future family members by documenting and uploading photos and memories and even audio recordings to Family Search Memories. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, and that's another class that Dana would
Yeah.
probably will, do an exceptional job at explaining to us. There's an app called Family Search Memories, and it's kind of like a cloud where you upload everything. You can interview your loved ones. And anyway, it's just a great to just remember that there's a lot of past, but that can be captured and understood and interpreted. But there's such a wonderful opportunity for us to capture the present
Yep.
as well.
And get it
And
while you can, because if
get
you
it
don't,
while
it's
you
like a
can.
library that burns down.
Yeah, while
You
you
can
remember.
recreate the information, but it's just not the same. So
Exactly.
record it while you can.
Record it while you can. So I'm just looking here to see if there are any more questions. I'm not seeing any. Will this be available as a recording? Yes. So this will be available on all of the different platforms as a recorded video. So I was thinking while you were presenting, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go back and refer to this, especially for my German research. And I probably need to watch the speed at like half
Watch
the
and then
speed so
pause.
I
Yep.
can because there's so much juicy information and tips. Yes, it will be available on all of our social media platforms, on RootsTech, on FamilySearch. And again, just a reminder, Dana said, I love free. I think we all love free. FamilySearch is free. That's something that we absolutely pride ourselves in. And again, if there's something that may not be available because of the different agreements with FamilySearch and the partnership that's providing a record, you can go to a FamilySearch affiliate library, and we have, I think we're in the thousands, right,
We have a lot of them. Yeah,
domestically.
there's a lot.
And so there might be a library near you where you can access a record that's not available online in person, and find out more information about the people that you're working on researching. So just remember, FamilySearch is free, and family history is something that takes time. But like Dana said, keep at it. Anything else that you'd like to share? Oh yes. Sorry, one more question that popped in. April is asking, is there a set planned live video weekly, monthly? Yes. So we are actually happy to share with all of you that every Thursday at 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, there will always be a FamilySearch live stream with experts like Dana that have been very gracious to lend us their time. And again, a lot of what we're doing is going to be applicable to people that are familiar with family history, and even not familiar, or are newbies like myself to family history. And so please tune in. All of this will be in a calendar on Facebook. So you can go to the events section and you can see what's scheduled. You can go to rootstech.org. We have an annual event, but RootsTech, meaning the education of family history and the sharing of this knowledge and these tips, is year long. And so please go to rootstech.org and follow us on FamilySearch social media to tune in. This is going to be available again as a recording. And we're so glad for everyone that was able to participate today and to watch. Dana, thank you so much for your time. Remember that if you're even watching this after the fact, ask those questions. Dana has, again, she shared her contact information with you. Thank you for doing that. That was so sweet of you, for you to reach out to her directly. And everyone, have a fantastic rest of your week. And we'll see you next Thursday with another family history / family search expert. And Dana, have a wonderful week.
Thank
And
you.
we will all keep at it in the meantime.
All right, great.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye.